Welcome to another segment of Mature in Love. Today I want to talk briefly about what is the purpose of discipleship. You know, many people, many churches try to do disciple making, and they have different ways of doing it. Some believe it's in educating people about the Bible knowledge. And the more you know, the more you'll understand God, the more you grow in faith. Yet the Pharisees knew the Bible really well and were affirmed by it for Jesus, but yet he still called them a bunch of snakes and vipers. Some people believe it's in the church program. As long as the more you get involved in the church system, the church club, those kind of things, the more you get involved in the activity, that is discipleship. The problem with that is that doesn't mature people. It's all behavior driven, all right? So I want to talk briefly about what is the purpose of discipleship. From my perspective, I'm admitting that I could be wrong, though I don't believe I am. I'm willing to say that it's just my perspective and my understanding of Scripture, and I know we all have a certain prism that we want to look through. So, quite a few months ago, I was doing a emotional wellness, emotionally healthy leadership training. I do a lot of training on emotional health and leadership, and for a Baptist association in one of the southern states. And about halfway through the day, one of the ministers asked me, well, Rick, what do you think the purpose of discipleship is? And I actually turned the question back on them and asked them, what do you think it is? And they gave a lot of answers about church programs, Bible study, etc., etc. I'll tell you what I think it is. The purpose of discipleship is not to educate people about the Bible. Now, don't walk away from this short talk and go, Dr. Rick Marks does not believe in knowing the Bible. It's not what I said. I do not believe it's the goal of discipleship. The goal of discipleship, ultimately, is to mature people in love. That's it, just to mature people in love. We always talk about the love chapter. We talk about the 15 traits of love. Most of us couldn't quote all 15 traits, all right? But there's 15 traits there. And if you develop all 15 traits, then you're going to be loving. But at the very end of 1 Corinthians 13, it goes on and says, tongues will stop, this will stop. And it says, these three remain, faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, love. Now, each of those are mentioned separately, which means they are distinct from the other. But the greatest of these is love. I think part of our systems in the West has been to develop people in faith. Folks, you can have faith without love, and you can have hope without love. But faith with love and hope with love is a very powerful way to live life. But we don't mature people in love. The evidence is the gross immaturity that you see in our country today. I highlight these two books regularly, and I'm going to do it again. If you're a student of culture, then read the book The Death of the Grown-Up by Diana West. The subtitle of her book is How the Arrested Development of the West is Bringing Down Civilization, Western Civilization. The arrested development. Now a senator, Ben Sass, I believe he's from Nebraska, wrote a book a while back called The Vanishing American Adult. It's a very sobering look at how our adolescent posture as a nation is and what the effects will be long term on this country. Mostly we have emotional children raising children. Mostly we have people in high levels of business and in church leadership who may know the Bible, but they're highly immature. They're emotional infants, they're emotional children, emotional adolescents. You see, the goal of Scripture, in my personal opinion, is to mature us in love. And to mature in love requires you becoming a healthy, mature adult. And the work that we do in Relate Well, we actually clearly articulate and define what is an emotional infant, what is an emotional child, what is an emotional adolescent, and what does a mature emotional adult look like. And it is my contention, and I believe it strongly, that if we lived out the heart of the gospel, not the mind of the gospel, the heart of the gospel, it forces you to become a mature adult. So why aren't we? Why aren't we? It's a breakdown of the family and the gross loneliness that is now epidemic proportions in our country. The loneliness problem in our country is actually related to family breakdown. People go to church lonely and walk out lonely. But maturity cannot come in aloneness. Maturity comes from healthy, intimate, connected bonds. And in that healthy, connected bonds, I learned to mature. Why? Because I get input into myself. Others Iron sharpens iron. All that's about helping me become a mature adult. A mature adult to what? So I can love others maturely. So I can speak the truth in love. That requires maturity, by the way. Only healthy, mature adults can do that. Immature adults won't. To speak the truth in love requires maturity. To be slow to anger, quick to hear, slow to speak, requires maturity. Because mature adults do those things. And as I kind of wrap up this short segment here, always remember this. Immature adults in conflict move to the lower order brain, thus they get defensive and they go into the fight, flight, or freeze response. And yet research shows that healthy, mature adults, when they get in conflict, they move to compassion. And from compassion, they operate in cooperation. Why? Because mature adults operate with 4 ways of being regularly, and these show up in conflict: goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy, which is the hallmark of our whole Relate Well program. Because this was not just something academic for me. I was an emotionally immature adult when I got married. I was an emotional child. My dad and stepmom couldn't raise us to be mature adults because they weren't. And you can't raise your kids to be something that you're not. You want to raise them to be what you are. And so I had to grow up as an adult. And God put something in my life to help me get where I needed to be. I went and sought out the teachers, Dr. Lori Gordon and Dr. Jerry Mangazzi and David Ferguson, others who intentionally or unintentionally invested in me to become a healthy, mature adult. Yeah, I said I am. Am I being arrogant? Actually, no. My wife told me I was. And she lives with me. She's watched me develop over 36 years. Am I glad I'm there? Yeah. Am I where I want to be? No. I still have a fallen nature, and the difference is I don't tend to go into that part of me as much as I used to 30 years ago. Why? I've matured a lot. Immaturity has nothing to do with intellect. It has to do with what's known as the limbic brain, which is the emotional brain. So I would encourage you, if you really want to mature, if you want to be discipled, don't be discipled in knowing the Bible. Have one disciple you to mature in love. Oh, and by the way, if you do, it's going to take courage, because you're going to have to look a lot. You're going to have to look a lot in the mirror and see parts of you you really don't want to face. But have the courage to do it anyways. You'll be better for it, and you'll be more glad that you did, just like I am. It's Dr. Rick Marks. Have a wonderful day.